I'm Brandon. I know how to solve the Rubik's Cube. You see it all the time, people who actually know how to finish the Rubik's Cube, individuals who can solve the cube in under 4 seconds. But a challenge that always stood out to me was solving the cube blindfolded, something that I thought was impossible. But is it actually? Maybe it's just hard, or is it impossibly hard? I have no clue. We're gonna find out today. Right now. So I got right to work. First I had to reacquaint myself with this distantly familiar puzzle. If you don't know, I'm a huge nerd. I spent the better part of my teenage years sitting in a room alone, listening to Disney music whilst practicing cubing. And I still wonder why I've never had a girlfriend. So I opened up my computer and started scouring the internet for all the advice, tips and tricks, any and every video that had the word tutorial in it, I watched. Google says the best method to solving the cube blindfolded is called the old Pachman method, a strategy that's much different than the one I'm used to, but I'm hoping that my knowledge for the Rubik's Cube will help me understand this process a little faster than someone just starting out. But this means to learn this, I need to start from ground zero. Which brings us to step number 1 of 3, algorithms. I need to memorize all these algorithms in order to move the pieces around without completely frying my brain out. I sat down and just started grinding. Laser-like focus, hours upon hours have passed with many sleepless nights. I think I'm going clinically insane. Oh dang, my skin looks so good. 48 hours have passed and I've memorized all 3 of the algorithms, meaning step 1 is finally complete.
Specialty of the cube is it's a special structure. The elements have 3 types: the corners, the edges, and the middle. They behave different way when you are turning it.
Which means now it's time for step 2, learning the structure of the cube. So the game plan is simple. I'm going to be learning how to solve all the edge pieces and then all the corner pieces. Sounds a lot easier than it really is. This right now is by far the most difficult part of the challenge and really where the video starts ramping up. So get your popcorn ready and let's get to solving. Okay, that was a little forced. Let me redo that. Let me ask you a question. What is the best way to learn how to swim? Is it to walk slowly into the water or just dive straight into the deep end? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer that. But what I mean is, on top of learning how to solve all the edge pieces with the use of my vision, I'm also going to learn how to solve it with a blindfold on. Right now. Going into this video, I thought this challenge was going to be a lot easier than it really is, especially since this is my childhood hobby.
Today, we will achieve your lifelong dream of solving the Rubik's Cube.
Most people who knew me back in the day, I'm sorry if you did, but they would argue that this was my identity as a youngling. I was known for the kid who was able to solve Rubik's Cubes really quickly. Very flattering title, I know, but now I can't even understand a simple facet of the cube, which is very disappointing. Yeah, I guess I thought I was better than I really am. I don't really know what else to say. Except that I've got one last push. A final attempt.
Último intento.
That means last attempt in Spanish. Here's my plan. I'm gonna slow things down a little bit. I feel like I'm getting so caught up in not getting this right away because of my massive ego that I'm not even understanding what's going on. I'm just failing, retrying, failing again, getting lucky here and there, and then ultimately just getting mad at myself. Bro, I hate this dude. I can't do this, man. So patience shall be what I'm truly tested on this week. Not some stupid Rubik's Cube blindfold, but blindfold what? I can see right through your blindfold, which is exactly what I did. I got right back on my bicycle. That's a skateboard. But instead of diving headfirst into the pool, I started with getting a feel for the water and did what I was previously too afraid to do. Fail. Accepting failure. This was the whole problem. I had gotten too arrogant and was not truly becoming a student of the puzzle. I'm just gonna address the elephant in the room. How in the world am I supposed to memorize an entire Rubik's Cube super quickly? Fun fact, you don't. This is gonna be a little bit difficult to explain because, if I'm being honest, I don't even totally understand it myself. But in order to memorize all the pieces on the cube, you firstly need to associate different letters to each spot on the cube. You would then follow the pieces around the cube, creating a pathway in which you would use those lettered slots, which are always constant on the cube, to create images with in order, and then you would have to memorize those images in the order to get a nice clean solve, basically. Now, I know that was a lot, so if you guys are truly interested in learning how to solve the cube blindfolded and want I don't know, a sufficient teacher. I'll link down below all the videos that I personally found the most helpful when trying to learn this process. And just a few words of wisdom, this process takes time. It took me literal days to get this one solved that changed everything. I started getting more and more consistently correct solves. Some were bad, some were good. My new plan was working. I then moved on to the corners. I memorized new algorithms, learned an entirely new method to solving the cube, put nearly all my time, effort, dignity into this video. Heck, I haven't done homework in weeks because of this one challenge. But none of that actually matters if I can't do this next step. Step 2.5. Corners. Arguably easier than the edges because there's less pieces to memorize and it's essentially the same thing, just a different algorithm. I actually started getting this step quite quickly. Solving on the edges took me 3 days to learn. This took me merely a few hours to complete. I mean, the key factor just came down to practice. Now is the time to put everything together. Algorithms, edges, corners, all to effectively achieve what I believe to be impossible. Now this may be quite difficult to do because instead of just memorizing either the edges or the corners, I need to memorize everything all at once. I'm going to be testing my mind, my lower back because my posture is just absolutely hideous, and well, my patience.
In my belief, everybody can do it. Naturally, not everybody has the same capacity, the speed of learning and the final result. So, because we are different in many ways and not all of us are capable to reach the same level. You need some kind of talent to achieve a record. So that's why we call it record.
I think the reason why I'm pushing so hard is because this was the first thing I really worked at and found success. I actually would say that learning to solve the Rubik's Cube was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Obviously not because of all the hot babes I was able to seduce, but because it taught me that if I worked hard enough, put all my time, effort, soul into something, I couldn't lose. Attempting this challenge, getting so close to a goal I've had for nearly a decade, having almost achieved the pinnacle of the most popular puzzle in the world is surreal. Tutorial after tutorial, turn after turn, solve after solve. What I gained from cubing, which is so funny to say, is the work ethic that will allow me to reach the places I dream of. And with this sappy little speech finally coming to an end, so did my 153rd attempt at solving the cube blindfolded.
I've been holding on to pieces, swimming in the deep end,
No way, dude. No way. Boom, 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 boom. My eyes were closed. I didn't have vision. I'm goated like that.
I did it in 6 minutes, 27 seconds. Well, there it is, everybody. I can finally take this stupid blindfold off. As I actually began to reminisce about what I had just done, this definitely isn't meant for everybody. Even if you give all you have, maybe just not every puzzle is meant to be solved.